Welcome back to the notes and our review of the year that was logged by Hindsight Capital, the imaginary hedge fund that can invest with perfect foresight. Now, Hindsight Capital is not allowed to trade through the year, otherwise its returns would be infinite, but it is allowed to make one changeover at mid-year, and that proved to be very useful this year because they could foresee this was a year of two halves. You can see that if you take a look at the relative performance of stocks and bonds in the US. For the first half of the year, everyone was scared by deflation and the risk of a recession. Bonds beat stocks. Then, at mid-year, sentiment turned. People started to bet on inflation and on recovery, particularly once Donald Trump was re-elected here, and the result was a complete turnaround in the market. If you bet long on stocks and short on bonds for the first 6 months, and then turn that around to bet long stocks, short bonds for the last half, you can, as you can see, make a lot of money. Now, once you grasped that this was a year of two halves, you can make money in many different markets. Take cyclical stocks, such as industrials, and compare them to defensive stocks, such as utilities or branded goods. In the first half of the year, people were scared. Defensives beat cyclicals. In the second half of the year, cyclicals walloped defensives. Again, take that trade, turn it around in mid-year, and you made a lot of money. Now, you can apply that year of two halves to so many different asset classes. Take metals. Precious metals benefit from fears of lack of growth. If you're worried about growth, you buy gold and you get rid of industrial metals like copper. So for the first half of the year, you needed to bet on precious metals and against industrial metals. For the second half, you needed to turn that right around. Again, the results were fantastic. Now, it was a year of two halves all over the world. Take Japan and its stock market, often very sensitive to deflation. The first half of the year, during the deflation scare, the yen strengthened and the Topix stock market index fell more than 20%. Then the yen started to weaken, people started to think much more about growth, and the Topix ended the year pretty much where it had started. If, however, you had switched from short to long at mid-year, you would have made more than 50% from the yen's journey. Or take a look at Germany and its bond market. We saw an extraordinary bull market in German bunds this year. By mid-year, 10-year bunds were negative yielding. People were prepared to pay the German government to look after their money over 10 years. People saw that was silly at about mid-year. The market turned again, going long bunds for the first half of the year and then switching around to go short would have made you a lot of money. It was a very dramatic turning point. Will those changes in trends be in place for next year as well? Hindsight Capital already knows, but unfortunately, they haven't told me.